sassy, a little bit crazy, a little bit classy. We got dreams and we got goals. We're just a couple of old sassholes.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
We are so happy. I can barely talk because I'm just smiling so hard.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I can see it from the forehead down.
Oh, that's why? Oh, okay.
Botox.
The Botox. Got it. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Brooklyn Maple.
And I'm Heather Terre.
And this is our podcast, A Couple of Sassholes, where we really tell you some fucked up stories about fucked up people doing fucked up shit.
Yeah.
And where you say, fuck, that's stupid. And then you want to flip tables. And then you get kind of angry. And then maybe it adds to your road rage. I don't really know. But
yeah, we're here to trigger. You're welcome.
Yeah. Trigger warning is every single time you hear our voices. Our spouses feel the same way.
Oh, 1,000%.
So we were talking about how we have the most special of treats. The juiciest of apples is what I said.
You did say that.
I did. Like to make it weird. And also about agriculture.
You guys, we have a surprise for you.
We do. Oh, and then we just looked at each other and we're like, you announce it. And
Yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
you go. After you.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. We have Leslie Morgan here today, guys. And it is the most exciting thing ever. So I'm going to do the intro for her, and then we're going to let her beautiful, beautiful voice graze over your body.
That's right.
In a symphony of joy.
I was just going to say a warm hug, but damn.
I'm just here to please. Okay. So Leslie Morgan Ling, she grew up the oldest of three in West Terre, Haute, Indiana. She is a stage performer turned theater director, turned award freaking winning radio personality, turned into a fucking entrepreneur because you can't just be better than that. She left 99.5 WKDQ in early February, and with that, she decided to start her own multimedia production and consulting company. So y'all make sure to look that up, Leslie Morgan Productions, and a company specializing in, my nipples are hard, all things camping.
Ow, my eye.
Oh, no, I know. All things camping. Okay. There's even branded apparel. So look that up as well. Happy Camper Living. She's very opinionated, which we love. Funny, caring, and a fiery Scorpio. She's also hot as hell. She loves everything theater, live music, watching stand-up comedy, camping, anything lemon, which I don't know. I feel things about the anything lemon because lemon's usually the least favorite flavor. We'll unpack later. All things spooky and abandoned, so she fits in so perfect as a sasshole.
Yes.
And Purple Toads wine, so her and Heather get along. Leslie spends her time down with her smoking hot younger husband. She ain't lying.
I second that. Sorry, Will.
Yeah. 4 awesome grown kids, 2 beautiful granddaughters, 3 very annoyed cats, and 2 super sweet dogs. She claims that she is very hard to live with, though I doubt, because once more, she's super hot, and has several bad habits. The one that apparently annoys her family the most is she just likes to leave those half full glasses of water everywhere. Like she's in that one movie with the corn. What is
Children
that?
of the Corn.
No, the one
Circles.
Signs.
Signs.
Oh my
What's
God.
Circles?
I don't know. Well, let's introduce her as Leslie Morgan.
I feel like we should clap.
I know. I'll do it.
Yeah, we can do it.
Okay, we can.
Yes.
We're so happy you're here.
Oh my God.
It's great to be here. I know we've been talking about this for a while.
Yeah.
What
And here
an
it is. Today's the day.
honor. What an honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just, me and Heather just sit here and just
Like,
smile.
yeah, it's kind of a big deal. You guys, Leslie's here.
It's cool to be back on the mic again because
Yeah.
I don't really do a lot of that at all anymore. I mean, some recording for, some production stuff, but for my other
Pornhub
business,
stuff.
but that's it.
Did you say Pornhub?
I did. I was like, just little.
For my Pornhub stuff, the voiceovers that I do with someone else's body. Yeah, so it's okay. I use a body double for that, but I use my own voice. So.
Could you imagine having to lip sync being in a porn? Like
my
I just
God.
thought
Oh, I
about
would
that,
love
like
that.
doing
That
a
would be so
voiceover.
great.
You're just being quiet and you're like,
You open your mouth and it's just a goat noise. I would mess with people. I'd be like, ah!
that'd be beautiful.
I know, right?
Or if they're not making enough noise, like it would be almost like that, like the Japanese dubbing in,
Oh, yes.
where they wouldn't be moving their mouth, but yet a sound would
Yes.
come out because it needed to be there as you're
Yes.
watching it and you're doing the voiceover.
Their mouth moves for 20 seconds and then they just go, goat. Like,
You ain't lying. I mean, there's
Right.
nothing worse than a non-vocal porn.
that,
Just saying. Is that
do you
not
think
what
they
we
did?
were
Or
all?
one that tells too much of a story. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
Oh, I don't know.
I
Back-
don't like. I just want to get to the point.
yeah.
I get that.
I agree with that. I'm like, how am I going to pay for this pizza? I don't know.
I know.
Like, I
I'm
don't
like,
need
I
to
know how
know.
you're paying for the pizza. Let's go. My God.
Meet me in the bedroom.
Denied, approved.
So speaking of horrible, raunchy things. So I mentioned that my boyfriend never listens to the podcast. So one of his coworkers, Lovely, she had listened to it and she was like, oh, you need to listen to it. So he finally decides to when he's driving back from St. Louis. We go to date night on Thursday and at the restaurant, he's like, is there something you want to tell me? And I'm like, no, I don't know. We talk a lot. I think we're good. And he was like, about someone at the gym. And I'm like, what the absolute fuck? Like, I'm like racking my brain because I'm like, no one has been creepy. No one's been making prolonged eye contact. I was like, do you want to talk about Will? Heather's like that. You know him. Like, that's the only person I talk to. And he's like, about the guy who, his name's Thomas. And I was like, who the fuck is Thomas? And he's like, the one that you can draw his penis from memory. And I was like, oh, we mentioned that on the podcast about gray sweatpants. And I was like, you had me like almost nervous. He never listens to any. The last one he had listened to, because he went back through, because what he does is he listens to the banter because he thinks that talking about murder is weird, and I'm like, whatever. And the last one was 33, and that was number 44. Okay. And so I was like, okay, every 10. I got to know every 10 he's going to listen to just some bullshit.
So the 9th episode of that is dick talk.
Yeah, and we're just only going to talk about penises.
Got it.
All the penises you've seen, all the penises you love.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
All the penises.
You just say
We'd be
that
here
made
forever,
my-
Heather.
That just made me sweat. No, I don't want to do that.
Oh, a sad blur anyway.
It's sad.
It's a sad blur.
blur.
You were so unhappy.
Now everything's great.
Oh, shit, fire.
Good times. I've hit my nose on this mic 3 times, so if anyone's hearing anything like a bunny rabbit's nuzzling the microphone, it's my fucking ass. I cannot figure out how far my face is from the mic, and I'm just like, my makeup's on it.
Oh, my
I don't know
God.
what's happening. Sorry, guys.
Speaking of makeup, no, I'm kidding. I have no good segue for this. We have some questions that we brought for you.
Sure.
And we're just gonna rip the Band-Aid off and do it. So we talk about death row meals a lot. Like, we judge people pretty hard about what their death row meal is. What would yours be?
Oh my gosh. There's just so much I like. It would have to be, I just adore Mexican food. I know I can get that any day, but I feel like if I'm on death row, I'm probably not getting it. And so I'm like, that would be like, I love everything. I eat salsa in my eggs for breakfast. I will have salsa something for lunch. At least Mexican 2 to 3 times a week. So I would do that because I would feel like I just beaten a bunch of shit. Like, it'd just be awful. And then what do you really want? And people would say lobster or steak or something that they normally wouldn't get. I'd just be like, just give me a Mexican buffet of everything.
That's a good one. That's smart.
That is a good one. I was just like everything fried, smothered, and covered.
True.
Like, pretty much.
I'm definitely, fried chicken's on there.
Dipping sauce.
Yeah. Things that you are not going to get good fried chicken in prison, if at all.
Yeah. One guy got a salad and we judged him real hard. I'm like,
But it wasn't just a salad, right?
But he got a salad.
Was
with
it Chad? Oh my God.
Right.
It's
well,
so
then
Chad.
It would be Chad. He probably did fucking say that. I don't remember what his death row
He
meal
said
was.
pepperoni pizza from this place in New York.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course
You know he would
did.
be extra.
He wanted to just brag about going to New York
He
all
was
the
like,
time.
I would like some tapas from this beautiful little countryside inn that I was in Spain back in 1920.
I bought some
Did
really...
he go through all the places he's been and the little place he likes, just so we can all know that he's been to all those places?
I'm trying to remember so hard. I'm like, I don't know. Did we?
I think we
love
went
it.
straight
Love
there.
it.
I don't think we hung out in the cul-de-sac. I think it was a straight route to the pizza that he wanted.
We were just talking about that though with Heather. Like, we're in our late 30s and we're like, I told her last night, I was like, when we hit our 40s, every one of our girls' trip is now international. Like, fuck it, we're going somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's when I think we could actually afford the flight. I'm like, in 5 years we can do it.
I don't know,
That's
but we
when
watched The Tinder Swindler last night. Have you seen that, Leslie?
I have not.
That guy stole like millions up
Oh,
to
no,
$10 million.
I have seen it. I have.
And I was thinking about that. The girl's like, just take out another credit card. I'm like, what? That's $250,000.
Yeah.
You've known him a month.
Yeah.
There's yeah, I feel like I'm never going to shame a victim ever. That's what we never do, right? But you watch that shit and you're like,
Yeah.
honey bunny.
Yeah.
He did a great job. So he was really, at least get conned by a good con man. Don't get conned by a fucking idiot. But
Right.
The Arabic
Brutal.
prince that emails you doesn't really need money.
Right. I mean, he probably does.
You have to be able to put yourself in their shoes, have empathy for somebody who might be so incredibly lonely and feel so bad about themselves that they would fall for something that is so obvious to somebody who's not, who's
Right.
not lonely, who is okay just by being by themselves, who's okay not being in a relationship, who feels good about themselves. I mean, immediately I'd be like, no. Like, as soon as he told me he's a prince or whatever, I'd be like, I'd figure that out. I got to figure shit out all the time. So there would be no me going, okay. Oh, but you're a prince that doesn't have money? Okay. You know, like, no. If you're a prince, where's my gifts? So.
Right?
If I'm not in a castle and there's not a moat, you're not a fucking prince.
Right.
Sorry.
Just because you're in a jet does not make you a prince. I remember the pictures of him.
Oh, yeah.
When he went to the whole big giant ordeal of faking him having to go he was injured and had to go to the hospital. And his friend was in a picture. Like, what? But he used it on everybody the same ones.
And I told Heather that. I go, have you noticed that he doesn't say their names in any of their videos? And she was like, oh yeah. And because I was like, how can one person? It is so much work to have someone fall in love with you. Like, it is effort.
Maybe for you.
I mean, I just feel like it's a lot of effort and a lot of communication. And I'm like, they never said, didn't say, ciao Bella, I love you. And like, never said her fucking name. I'm like, girls, got to look alive.
But even guys, though, because when I was dating on websites years ago, when that first was invented, websites were invented, and so was dating online. The guys had been so jaded by the women they have met in the sense that the women did not portray themselves truthfully. Mm-hmm. So the pictures were way younger. Sometimes this one lawyer that I went out on a date with from Nashville said that he was talking and thought, oh my God, she's just so beautiful, so beautiful. And they had great connection, and then they were going to meet. Mm-hmm. He's like, because that's always the goal, you would think.
Yeah. Yes.
So he's waiting in this really nice restaurant, like he's ready to meet the love of his life. She walks in, he doesn't recognize her because it's not the girl that was in the pictures. And she sits down. He's like, what's going on? He thought someone was punking him or something. And she was like, no, it's me. He's like, you look nothing like what and he realized then it hit him. And he got on his phone, and it was pictures. Every picture on her profile was Elizabeth Hurley.
Oh my God.
The actress and model.
Oh.
And he just is one of those kind of smart, awkward guys that really he's not following, he's not really going to the movies. He's fighting battles for people in court.
Oh, man.
My God.
He could not believe it. But he had seen her before, and then it hit him. Oh my God, that's a celebrity.
Shit.
You're not.
I'm so embarrassed for him.
I know.
Cringing.
He felt awful. But a lot of guys would then say, which then I kind of learned from them, send me a picture of you right now. Mm-hmm. Or send me, they'd have these little, we didn't do videos back then in flip phones.
Like, send me that dick pic.
In the mail.
One guy did ask me to send him a photo with like today's newspaper.
I would
I'm
be
like,
crazy
I don't have a
like
newspaper, but
because I am not 85 years old.
I can go outside. Of course, this is a while ago. This is when people were still reading them. So, but yeah.
I feel like that was maybe 5 years ago. I used to get the newspaper. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Right?
100%.
There's just something nostalgic about sitting. Like, I remember my parents and grandparents sitting at the kitchen table, like on a Saturday morning, and then they'd hand me the comics. Mm-hmm.
And that was the best part.
Or even like Black Friday, you get the newspaper. And
you ain't lying.
That's where you figured out where you were going to go. You made your roadmap of I'm getting this, and this.
Yes.
And that's just not a thing anymore. It's just kind of sad.
Me and Heather still do it. I make a roadmap, and then she gets in the car.
Do they even put out all the flyers like they used to the extent?
I don't know.
I think if you're a member, like I'm going to get Sam's Club, I'm going to get Bath and Body Works, I'm going to get Macy's.
Send you
but I think because I'm on their list.
Sure.
But I don't think if I was just, Bob and I don't shop at those places and sign up, I don't think they do.
No.
I missed the Sears catalogs as a kid.
I know.
God, that was such a good time. Circling all the things I knew I wasn't going to get. But I was like, Santa will try to get me one. Fucking A.
Santa, take your pick.
I've been so nostalgic lately. I don't know what it is. I just can't stop thinking about the 90s and the early 2000s. I just keep thinking about being a little girl. I don't know. Does that ever hit you where you pick a time frame and you're just like, I can't stop thinking about it?
Yeah.
And I think it's because it's summer's coming up and we bought a boat last year and I'm so excited because we used to have a boat when I was a kid and we had a river camp and we're looking at getting a camper and we're trying to, and I just feel like I'm finally at that stage in life where I'm recreating the best of my childhood memories and I'm just feeling like a little girl again.
That's cute.
It's weird, but.
Speaking of camping, we're going to talk about that because I know you two, it's 2 against 1 because I'm more of an indoor cat. I'm outdoorsy. I'll drink on a patio. That's about all I got.
Yep.
Brooklyn's trying to break that of me.
I'm trying so hard to break that. Are you ready to hear what we did, Leslie? I put up a tent in the backyard and we slept in it one night.
Mm-hmm. And how'd you feel?
It actually sucked. It sucked so bad.
What were you sleeping on?
A really nice air mattress.
Huge.
Oh, okay.
Like it was like glamping 2 feet.
Was it too
from the back.
hot?
Yes.
It was 100 degrees.
And we had drank really hard. But they were, so it was just like.
That was part of my stipulations.
So you can try it again, right?
We're going to have to do it again.
Yeah, we can do a redo.
When it's not so hot.
It was so hot and the birds were so loud and I'm not used to
The birds
all
were
of that.
loud.
Like I was like, can you?
And those crickets. Oh my God.
I heard every
Nature sucks.
I heard every noise. And so finally I was trying to tough it out. I'm over there feeling like I'm doing hot yoga. And then I look at her and she's like, do you want to go in? I'm like, yes, please, for the love.
Yep. I love it though. Well, I figure whenever we get the camper, because we'll have it stationed somewhere, I was like, Heather, we'll go. And then she'll be cool with it.
She'll love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't. I like to just show up and be the party. I don't like to plan the party. So you'll plan that.
Did you have to help set up the tent?
No, she did not.
She would have.
You did not do anything, Heather.
You're right. I was trying to remember.
She literally looked at me and was like, wait, didn't I? You sat there and you drank a claw.
I did, and what a life I live. Listen, there's stipulations to being my friend. If you're going to get me outside, a claw's involved.
Yes, anything a claw is involved. So how did you get into camping? Like, where did that all come from for you? Where did the love of the outdoors come from?
I grew up in the country, so my childhood was running all around our 5 acres into our neighbors' fields with their cows. And I mean, I had total freedom to have adventures at all times.
I love that. Did you ever step in cow poop?
All the time.
I figured.
All the time. Horse, because I had my own horse.
Of course you did.
What was his name?
So, Toy. She was white. She had blue eyes. She was a
stunner.
She kind of looked like she was an albino horse. But at the same time, she was also, we wanted to get her registered as a palomino because when in winter you could see the palomino markings, which is like the coat, but then the mane and the tail would be lighter. Mm-hmm. But then that couldn't happen either because of something about her parents. So she was just a quarter horse. Oh. And I got her when I was 9 months old.
Wow.
My parents got her for me as a colt, so we were virtually the same age. She was a year older.
Oh, wow.
And I had her my whole life until I was 30. Yeah, and then she just passed away in the pasture. But I loved being outside all the time. My dad and grandpa would go hunting all the time, and then they'd come back, and I'd be the one getting all the squirrels or the pheasants or whatever out of the back of the truck.
I'm so attracted to you right now.
I'm very much a country girl, even though people don't see that now so much, except for my love of camping. So it kind of evolved into that. Now, let me say, though, that my mom was a lot like you, Heather, in that we did not go camping on vacation because she liked resorts.
Oh,
so when
awesome.
We would go camping, it would be to a cabin that was really nice.
See?
Or someplace.
I can do that.
That was it.
Do that.
Now she would go outside and, she wasn't much of a hiker. She liked to sit, she just didn't like that so much.
Be still my heart.
Yeah. So it wasn't until later that my ex-husband and I, when our kids were little, we went ahead and got a tent to start doing that again with our kids. And we did that a few times, but we were really busy. I would camp in a camper, but it was because like my aunt and uncle had a camper or my grandparents did, and then they had one on the lake, so we were always on the lake skiing. But later on, when I met Quentin, his parents had a camper, and he'd always grown up going camping in a camper. And I realized, that was just one more thing that we had in common that we loved. And so since then, we don't mind tent camping, but we set it up. You have to make the environment.
Yes.
What you need it to be. So we have very nice things in our tent.
Okay.
So we have a really great blow-up mattress.
That was the best
with
commitment.
A headboard.
Oh, shut it.
Yes.
Is this on your Facebook page?
No, I got it in a I didn't even know they existed.
Right.
And I was having Christmas at my house. All my family was going to be there. And I had said on the air on WKDQ, I don't have enough beds to sleep, everybody. And they all want to stay at my house. Nobody wants to get a hotel because they don't want to have to drive from Owensboro out to Philpott.
I want to stay at your house.
And
so if you ever want us to have
you can't because my husband, I don't trust him. So anyway, not with you. Not with you. So I just said it on the air, and this woman from Henderson was like, and I forget your name if you listen to the Sassholes, and I didn't say your name, but she said, I have one. We bought it for my kids, my older kids, when they would come home from college, but they didn't want it. No one ever slept on it, so you could just have it. So I met her in Henderson and have it. It's great. I'll find it, and then I'll send you a link.
That's awesome.
So we have that. We have 2 little tables. We have CPAPs. So that's unnecessary. So guess what that means? You have to have electricity.
Oh, I know. My husband wears a snorkel, too, to sleep. So.
Well, if you're camping and you didn't have a fan, that's why you were uncomfortable and hot. So we have a generator, a little generator that's very quiet, and it can run our CPAPs, and it can run a little small air conditioning unit.
Okay, see, we don't have one of those. So we have something smaller. We have. So do you know the Gazelle tents?
I don't.
So they're literally, it takes 4 seconds. You pull the and I can't remember what those are, but they just come together really quickly. And so we have the best bedding situation, but that pretty much takes up the tent because you pretty much use it for the ease of the tent.
Right.
And I'm like,
well, and our tent's not major. Those tent days are over.
Yeah.
Like having all the poles and having, oh my gosh, no. They're so easy now.
Yeah.
And it can be a bigger tent and still be easy. And this is only like a long rectangular tent, but it still is like, boop, and it's popped up. And then our bed is in one end, and then the generator and our suitcases and our little tables with lamps.
See, our suitcases could not fit.
Our bags. Not
yes. You're right. Why am I acting like you're bringing fucking Heather's luggage to Mexico? You're just over here popping it in there.
I wondered how you even went on your road trip with all the luggage that would have to go into a car. I wasn't sure that anybody would fit, but just Heather.
So I made Heather switch
made
a bag.
Switch my bag.
Yeah. Because I was like, the hard ones, they just don't. But then we had to carry them everywhere. So we had they were on our backpacks, but we both didn't know what we were going to wear. And so we were like, let's bring everything we own.
Of course.
So we took our entire closets and we put them in a bag. And then we never once stopped to realize that we were going to have to carry those fucking bags from the parking lot into the hotel whenever we stayed at the hotel.
Because you didn't have your pack mules with you.
God.
No.
Not at all. And
I mean, it was bad.
If we didn't work out regularly now, I would have been like,
old version
I'm going to have
of us.
to buy all new clothes at each place that we go to and have them Amazon Prime to the hotel because I'm not carrying that fucking bag.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was a dead body. I don't know how people do that.
That was a mistake.
Speaking of dead bodies, did you like that segue? I will reach for any straw that I can see.
That's professional,
Leslie,
right there.
we've been doing this a year now, so
a whole year.
You are running the board, I see, too.
Yeah. I don't know about running a board. I know which buttons to push and which ones I can't. And they've reassured me 12 times this is not go out into the world. This is just in the studio. So
yeah, exactly. Ooh, that would be so bad.
We would be in trouble.
Trust me, I said shit one time on the air.
You did?
Yes.
What happens to that?
Well, nothing happened. I guess if I said shit because my second radio husband was leaving, and I was emotional. I grew attached to all of them in their own special way. And so he was leaving, moving to Buffalo, and it was our last day on the air. It was our very last break, and I was like, in the emotions, I was like, and shit, it seems like we just started. And then there's the police chief, Billy Bolin. There's everybody in there, the mayor, everybody's in there standing because they all like Dave so much. And they're dying. So you can hear them in the background dying laughing. So I finished the break like a true professional I am. Then I go to my bosses and I'm like, hey, I just said shit on the air. I think that's one of the words. I don't know. And, they're like, well, we're going to have to we're going to have to write you up. Fine. I told her myself, whatever.
Yeah.
And she goes, now nothing's really going to happen unless someone says, they file a complaint.
Oh.
And no one did because nobody cares.
Speaking of shit, though, in camping, have you ever shit in the woods?
Yes.
See, I needed this because me and I talk about it. I've been like, today we're going camping at Peabody, which is going to be primitive camping, so there's nothing around. It's going to be me and 5 turkey hunters with my boyfriend. Nice. Yeah, I know. You're like,
I think someone has that video somewhere.
Oh my God, shut up.
I know. Here it comes full circle. Back to Pornhub.
Her OnlyFans page.
Oh my God.
That's right.
And I'm so nervous about having to shit in the woods. I'm like, I'm not.
Oh, it's whatever.
It's
you
not
don't
bad.
tell me everything about it.
You know I'm going to tell you everything about it.
Yeah, that's true. We have talked about poop successfully on the last 4 episodes. So if we're going to have to do a shit corner,
yeah.
I'm always down for it.
Shitting with the sassy.
Just shitting in the woods, and then they talk about shit.
She's going to take a sassy shit. You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're just going to get a text, and it's going to be like, it happened.
Out in the countryside as a little girl, you have to just go. And you can't make it all the way back to the house because you waited too long. So it happens.
That's another reason why I like to be an indoor cat. I have my own litter box that's not outside, and I don't have to wipe with a pine cone or whatever the hell that y'all do.
It's called.
What?
It's called like. What's it
called?
Keep one saying
Everyone
paper
wait.
towels, toilet paper.
What? Oh.
Like I have toilet paper.
Yeah. Well, when I was a little girl, I didn't. I used leaves.
Yeah, we were wild back then.
Oh, yeah, wild. Feral.
Man, these are feral cats.
Feral cats.
I'm like,
And look what
tamed.
happens. This is what they turn into.
I'm over here like a prime
Goddesses.
Okay. Well,
Should
I
we do
had a good
this?
segue, and then
then we
got
talked about
deterred, and then
poop.
you guys were like, let's poop out my tree or whatever. Leslie brought us a story today, and I want to hear why you picked this, and we have no idea what it is, so I'm quite
so excited.
Well, I mean, this is something that affected me personally when I was in high school. It was. That's why I was really interested when you told me the premise of your podcast. Like Sassholes, I didn't really understand, and then you said you will talk about crime, and so I thought, and then you said that the guest brings the story, and I thought that is a very cool. No one does that, and that brings so many stories that don't make it into the media or are so old that you don't hear about them anymore. And so it's just really, I like it a lot. So
Okay. Well, everyone tell your friends. Leslie said it's a good idea.
yes, 5 stars. So this happened when I was a junior in high school, and it happened to my best friend Tammy, her great aunt. So I remember now to preface this, we went to high school at a high school that was right across the street from her grandparents. So we would often, after cheerleading practice or whatever, we would just walk over to grandma's house. And I remember the day that we walked over to the house after school, and they were very upset.
Oh no!
And it's grandma and grandpa were very agitated, and there were a lot of people there, like a lot of family members. And so I remember, I think I just called my mom and said, "Come and get me." Like I just didn't feel like I was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was that my best friend Tammy, her great aunt, was murdered the night before.
No.
In the town where I grew up, which is West Terre, Haute, back in 1984. She was, I want to make sure I get her age. It's the 1984 murder of Loretta Keith, which made huge headlines because of the case then and the investigation that swirled around it.
Your font is so small. Me and Heather use like 18.
And that was after I printed it out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, where's your microscope? Or
Yeah, I know.
Like, are your
It'll
glasses
be
just
interesting.
for a cute show?
It'll be interesting to see.
Mine looks like a billboard, so.
So she was, I want to make sure I get her age right. I think she was 89. She lived at home alone. Yeah, 89. And someone had come into her home, a suspected robbery at the time, and had bludgeoned her to death. So obviously this just totally, our little town was just in shock. Things didn't happen like that in our little town. I mean, we are like a suburb of Terre Haute, Indiana.
I was going to say, how many
Right.
people?
I played softball in Terre Haute all the time. We always said that they were fed right on the cornbread. That's what we would say. I don't know why we said that.
Well,
But that's what I think
we
about.
lived across the Wabash River was where West Terre Haute is.
How many people?
I mean, in the little city, maybe 2,000 people at the time.
Oh, so like one stoplight kind of town.
Yeah,
Just
at
to
that
paint
time
the
there was
picture.
one. I think there might be 2 now.
Yeah.
But a lot of rural
Yeah.
people would come to that little city, or even to Terre Haute. It was all kind of there in Vigo County, Indiana.
Okay.
So they had arrested a 16-year-old boy
16.
because he lived across the street. Now, this is kind of me speculating because I know the whole story, but this is a boy, and his name is David Scott, and he lived across the street from her, was considered to be mentally challenged.
Oh my gosh. Easy scapegoat in the 80s.
Yeah. And it seems like you hear that a lot, especially in the 80s, because when you think about it, there was no DNA, to be able to go by. You had to try to figure it out the old-fashioned way. Mm-hmm. But many times, that old-fashioned way didn't work with the timing that things needed to be solved in.
Yeah.
So many times, especially people who were vulnerable would be coerced into admissions.
Yeah.
Of course.
We see that. We've seen that tons of times.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Tons.
So he was kind of coerced into knowing he was mentally challenged. I can't believe that today this would never fly, but it was basically just him and one of the detectives having a conversation.
So his parents weren't there?
That's what I was going to ask.
No.
I was like, where are the parents in the room?
Yeah.
And he basically, I think he probably thought it was kind of a game.
Oh.
I mean, he wasn't he wasn't like a 10-year-old or 6-year-old mentality, but he was not, even a 16-year-old at that time could have been a little bit naive and very and not really know the ways of the world, obviously not like they are today.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he just, I think, made up this story about being on drugs.
Oh, no.
Because he's with the police.
They probably led him too.
Oh, totally.
Like making a murder.
Yeah.
Have
Totally.
you seen that? Where,
Yes.
Yeah, like when they interviewed him.
I feel confident that you're in a room, you're young, you have maybe whatever mental issues that you might be facing, and then it's an adult. There's just such a level when you're a child and it's an adult. You listen to them, you agree with them. Yeah. You're coerced in something. You're like, yeah, that happened.
And you are, as a law enforcement person, especially if you're a detective, you are trained to be able to get the information that you need out. Yeah. But there are safety precautions in place. So there's usually someone else there. There's, there's a lot, the lawyer is present. There's a lot of things to help protect the person, because you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. Yeah. But we all know that in most cases you're guilty until proven innocent.
We just did a couple episodes back about that.
Yep, that's so true though. Mm-hmm. I mean, our court system says that, and it sounds good on paper, but in the light and the thought of public opinion, especially now, when things get out immediately, then you're guilty, and even if you're proven innocent. You're still going to be guilty in the mind of public opinion.
Casey Anthony.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but fuck her.
I'm sorry. I agree.
But
she was quote unquote.
I'm going to do a story on Casey Anthony, and
well, when you think about the guy that had the backpack or whatever, like at the Olympics, remember the guy who got arrested for it was going to be a terrorist activity, and they ended up, there was nothing in the backpack, no terrorist activity, but everybody still, when they see him or his name, which I can't remember now, that was like back in 19. I mean, they can't remember his name, but they still feel. I mean, if he still says that, especially where he lives, his life was changed completely because he was arrested for that. Okay. Even though.
I'm do something terrible real quick.
Yes.
If you had to change your name tomorrow for a new identity, what would it be?
Oh, what would yours be?
I always love the name Autumn, so maybe I would do like Autumn as my first name.
Autumn, Merry Christmas.
Or like Bailey, something closer to my name. Like my name's Brooklyn, obviously, so maybe like a Bailey or something.
Bailey, but spell it Bayleigh.
No.
I know you hate that. That's why. I don't know. What would yours be?
Well, I was always when I was little, I always had a pretend identity.
I love it.
I'm so weird. And so I would always sign things. I still have little books or little diaries that I signed my name in, and it was Peggy King.
Your alter ego.
That was
Peggy King. So 100%, if she was in a stressed out situation, she would be like Peggy King right there whenever they're creating a new identity.
Love that you were a child and you were like, my name's Peggy.
I would sit. I mean, I was a strange child because I was always performing. So I would perform.
I love it.
If somebody came over to my parents' house, they're friends, I would be ready for a song and dance and a stand-up act every time. And they're like, oh my God, this is 3 years old.
That's
I would
awesome.
get a special costume on and come out and start just gyrating to like Hawaii Five-0 theme song. And so then I started acting things out. Or if all the cousins were over, I would plan so that we could all do I would direct everybody in like a game show and give everybody something that they had to do.
Oh, I love that.
I wanted to be friends with you when I was
So
younger.
I had this alter ego. And when I was in my grandparents had this giant 1972 white Cadillac.
Ooh.
And it had gold seats.
Of course it did.
And awesome. I would sit in the back, and they looked very much like airplane seats to me. So I'd sit in the back, and that's when Peggy King would come alive because she was with her luggage. And she was in this airplane, and then she would talk to her, get this, no lie, this is going to be weird. This is I would look at my pretend husband over there, and his name was Quentin.
No way.
Swear. And you know why? There's a story, because I loved the show Dark Shadows.
Oh.
It used to be a show very much like a soap opera on TV. It wasn't just the movie with Johnny Depp. Wasn't that right? Anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
So there was the wolf person in that, the wolf man or whatever, was named Quentin.
That's wild.
And I loved him. And so I would name my fake husband Quentin. And that's my husband's name today.
Does he call
Second
you Peggy?
husband. No, he does not.
Maybe in bed.
That's a thought. I might do that.
I know. Let's start a new key.
But what's even crazier is that his mom named him Quentin because of that show.
Oh, wow.
Shut the front door.
Yeah.
That
There's
is
another
so
weird
crazy.
thing, too.
Yeah.
So I was in a movie once, and it wasn't the Pornhub movies, but it was another one.
Bummer.
And it was shot locally. It was like bucket list kind of thing. And we are going to be shooting some of it in Kentucky. Well, I lived in Princeton, Indiana at the time, and I was in Kentucky only to drive through to go on vacation to Florida.
Yeah.
So I had no idea where we're going. It's just me, it's the director, it's all the set people, and we're all in this caravan going to God knows where. Bumfuck Egypt.
Literally sounds like the start of a porn.
I know, I'm like, well,
Me and the crew and 19 guys. It's called Peggy Does Bluegrass.
well, and my husband was in the movie too. My ex-husband was in them just a little short bit, but he wasn't in those scenes. So I'm by myself there. And we go way out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, what in the hell? So then fast forward to when I am dating my husband, and he is I'm going to his house on 54.
No. Stop.
And I'm like, huh. And then something is familiar about it, which is very weird. And so fast forward then to a couple months into it, and we go to a party, like a get together at someone's house, friends of his parents. We're driving there, and I'm like, oh my God, Quentin, drive to the end of the road. It is a dead end. There are cows there, and if you look to the left, there's going to be an old cabin and a bus in the woods. And he goes, I think it's a dead end. How do you know that? And so we were, saying it was where we had been.
That's insane.
And so literally within like 3 miles of where he grew up in his house.
Wow.
I was there shooting a movie when he was of course, he's 11 years younger than me. So see, at the time I was 32 maybe. And then so he would have been he probably wasn't even there. He was probably in Lexington at the time.
Man,
but
that's wild, Peggy. You know, I can't let that go.
That's fine.
I just
You
love
can
that.
I derailed us
I
so
don't feel
hard
like
with
I
that
look
question.
like a Peggy, but oh well.
I don't think you look like a Peggy.
my
You definitely
question-
look like a Leslie.
Yeah. I don't know. I've only met one Heather that was older than me, like an adult, quote unquote, Heather. So
Yeah.
I need to be something else. I don't know what. You caught me off guard. So.
And then you had all this time to think about it, and she still comes up with nothing.
Well, I was intrigued by her story.
I hear you.
I want to write a movie script about kind of hit miss kind of thing, where your paths cross and you don't realize.
Yeah.
And then they cross again, and your life keeps tumbling forward.
Yeah.
And it just follows kind of these two people in this weird mix of when the timing is right.
That would be really cool.
You know, so
I'll see it. So
Yeah, I would
please
go watch
write
I'm totally
it
gonna.
and-
I've got so many movie scripts in my head.
I bet you do.
And
This should be made into a Netflix documentary.
yeah, your story.
Yeah.
But we should probably let her tell us.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, so
We're so excited
the
to hang out with
1984 murder of Loretta Keith, 89 years old. The person who was arrested for the crime was 16-year-old David Scott. Now, he had this confession that seemed to be, when you look back, very coerced. And his sister Carol had always said, there is no way that he did this, and that he might have said that, but he didn't mean it. And so she fought forever. Now, he was convicted.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So at 17 years old, he went to jail because even though he was a minor, he still, because it was murder,
It was so brutal. They charged him as an adult.
they charged him as an adult. So he went to prison. The whole time he was there, of course, this is someone who, again, is mentally challenged, and now he's in prison. So it really, for anybody who especially is falsely accused, it's going to just wreak havoc on you mentally.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine.
I mean, mental health
he ended up
really...
getting covered with tattoos.
Oh, man.
He was just spent a lot of his time alone. He would draw out his dream house, his dream mansion that someday he wanted to have. Now, he spent, I want to say, it wasn't until, it was 1985 that he went to jail, and it wasn't until, I want to say, 2008 that his family was finally able to get them to take a DNA sample. Now, the DNA was a thing. You know, DNA could be used to prove his innocence.
That's so long.
It was. All his life just gone. So you think about, when I read that, what touched me too was that, you know, his family was adamant. And granted, this is the person who supposedly killed my best friend's great aunt, who they were very close.
Yeah.
But at the same time, now looking back at everything and reading everything about it, it's like, oh my gosh, both families, someone was taken from them, you know?
Right.
So I guess he and his mom, every night at 9 o'clock, they would say, they got down on their hands and knees, him in his jail cell, her beside her bed, and say a prayer to try to, they thought if they prayed at the same time, one day he would get out.
Do you want me to weep?
That touched me so much, because I thought, you know, it's awful. The murder of Loretta was so awful, and the pictures that they showed were so, and she's a helpless 89-year-old woman.
Yeah.
And that is incredibly awful and terrifying on so many levels. And it was awful for the family because, again, she was just an old lady at home in her house where she thought she was safe. Mm-hmm. But then this family also lost a son for so many years until they were able to convince a judge to let there be DNA evidence now submitted. And there was. And it wasn't him.
Oh, my God.
Now,
the story, although it gets...
Like, I'm going to shush it.
I know.
Shut your pie hole.
It wasn't him, and he was able to, you know, go and be with his family. My understanding is one of the really sad things too, is that about 9 months after his release, his mom passed away.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, so the hits just keep coming. But there was, at the time, there was someone else that became a suspect. So, as I understand it, there was someone named Kevin Weeks. Now, he has a connection to Kentucky. At the time, he was 21 and he was living in West Terre Haute. Oh. But I guess there had been a conversation with one of his friends about how he had killed this old woman. What transpired was he and another guy were going to rob her. Oh. And he said, I'm going to go in and you just have the car ready. And when he came back, he was bloody, and he had some jewelry and money and whatever he could find in there that he thought he could sell or whatever. So once he had this, because murderers always, and I know you know this, they always tell on themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something, they want to brag about it because that's their mentality. Mm-hmm. So here he was telling this guy. Well, then that guy was like, I went to the authorities. And so then they brought in, because he gave names and everything of the guy who drove the getaway car, brought him in. And so because he had another charge against him for something else, just probably another robbery or whatever, spilled the beans.
Oh, wow.
On Kevin Weeks.
Wow.
So here Kevin is, now 44 years old, living in Kentucky.
It took all that fucking time.
Yeah, because the other guy spent all the time.
I wasn't sure when it was.
From
so I'm over here
1985, when David was convicted, to all the way up until 2008.
That's so long.
So he was brought in. Now, where it really gets... So he was, because it was just the kind of hearsay, and you know how when you have somebody who's like, oh, if I tell you the truth, if I tell you, will then I be able to get out of my other conviction, the plea bargaining. Mm-hmm. So they were like, the jury did not believe. They didn't believe that. They were so still convinced, even in 2008.
That's unbelievable.
That there was a reasonable doubt.
Wow.
About who actually killed her. That he was acquitted of the murder.
Oh my God.
And he's in prison now but it's because of the robbery with injury. So they gave him 20 years.
Oh my. Okay.
So you got 20 years for a fuck. Okay.
Exactly.
This is the shit that bamboozles me and what makes our jobs as very serious podcasters of the true crime genre pissy. This pisses me off.
Well, and the thing is too that it's all these little checks and balances. The jury, depending on how the attorneys spun it and how they were able to make the jury it's all about making sure they have a little tiny bit of doubt.
Yeah, that's all they need.
That's all you need. So even though, as a defense attorney, that's why I could never be one. I thought about being an attorney at one point.
You look so hot in a courtroom.
But I could never defend someone I knew was guilty of a crime like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yet his defense attorneys made that jury feel like this was all just because that guy lied. He did that because he got out of then this robbery charge that he was going to have to. And they, for a second... So if you're honest with yourself as a juror and you're sitting in the deliberation room, it took them 9 hours to deliberate. You say to yourself, did he do this? Is it without a doubt? That's the wording.
Yeah.
It's very easy to get doubt.
But then how did the 16-year-old get charged? Like, how did he get convicted?
That was back in 19.
I know.
It's a different time.
So we just did a story where a man raped and kidnapped a little boy for 7 years, and he got less time than the time that he had taken from that child as he had raped him.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then he gets a robbery charge and gets 20 years. Which is also why, and that's in 2008, like our judicial system is such a freaking pile of shit because you have rapists that get out after 2 years of probation or something. And then you have people who had just a little bit too much weed in their car one day.
Exactly.
And they're in there for 15 years. It's just like, what is happening?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
And that shit still happens.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, yes, the court system is not perfect by any means. And there is, and the court system is set up that the best it can be. The problem is that you have the players in the game, and the players in the game that are not in it for. You would like to think in a perfect world that you would have the good and the bad. Like, did this person do it? Yes or no? If we all agree that he did, then he's going to get or he or she is going to get this. But when you have the attorneys involved whose main purpose is to manipulate a jury in their favor, it's not about the truth.
Yeah, it's not about good or evil.
No.
It's about, I want to win.
It's about winning. And so that takes a court system totally down a road where we see things like that rapist getting less time than he took from that child. Yeah. Or we see this innocent man, David Scott, arrested at 16, in jail by 17, lose all that time as an innocent man. And the man who was the murderer, who only got charged because he was acquitted for the murder because of the doubt, only got charged for the robbery part of it.
Yeah. He
ended up only getting 20 years.
That's infuriating.
Now, there are guidelines as far as what time you must serve, but that's all negotiated.
Yeah.
Again, it's the players in the game. It's the judges and it is the attorneys that play this game with a jury and with the lives of the people they are defending.
Yeah. There's a guy on TikTok. He's a defense attorney, and I was watching him yesterday. He actually teaches you how to argue and win without infuriating your spouse. So, it's all about the wording. And I was listening to it, and I was picturing my husband saying that to me, and I'm like, it makes sense.
It does.
Because they're trained in this, and this is what
it's
they're
all
supposed
an
to
act.
Do. Yeah.
Attorneys are very smart, and you do have to know the law.
Right.
But you use that law as a script and a guide in order to put on a show in the jury room. Or, in the courtroom. Yeah. So that then the jury, if you're a great actor, and you can make them really believe. Think about one of the most publicized trials in the entire U.S. for, at least going back probably forever, was the O.J. Simpson trial.
I knew it was going to be.
And that is a prime example of exactly what we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Everyone knows that he is guilty.
If anyone tells me that
the glove didn't fit, though,
innocent, I'm going to lose it.
And yet the attorneys manipulated the jury and at the time, not so much anymore, but at the time, some people who were viewing it because we got to see.
Oh, I sat in from recess and watched it.
Yes.
I can't believe they had us watching that in elementary school. I watched it too, and they for Christmas, around Christmas, they had everyone vote if they thought O.J. Simpson was guilty or not. And I said he was not guilty, and my teacher was like, why? I was like, I just want him to be with his family for Christmas because I'm fucking 7 years old, guys, and I don't know shit about fuck, and why are you asking me this?
Yeah, I don't know why they had 7 years.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
That's a core memory.
I love that you had a vote.
And I just wanted him to come home for Christmas after he murdered his fam, so I guess I obviously didn't know the storyline.
But as a 7-year-old, no.
No, just be home for Christmas. When you think about Santa Claus to be
that, that moment with the glove.
Oh, I remember
was
that.
Everything.
Yeah.
And it was them acting that out, I mean, and I come from a performance background, so I am a stage performer that you have to make live audiences believe what you're doing. And I've directed people to make live audiences believe what is happening because you only really are having an awesome experience and it's almost like out of body in a theater if you feel like you are right, like everything is real. Right. The love is real. The hate is real. Everything that's going on. And so that's all a courtroom is.
Yeah.
It's just people who are very good actors who have a degree in law. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And then it's like a circus.
With a little bit of narcissism sprinkled in to their makeup.
Yeah. There are good ones though, I know, who really wish that it was, where these are the facts. There's no glove. It's these are the facts. Don't put the glove on wrong and then expect us all to believe that this is, oh my God, that's really OJ's hand, and it doesn't fit. Well, pull it on. It fit if I put it on.
Right.
But, we're so emotionally involved in these things, especially they play out into like all the documentaries and the crime dramas that we see. And then suddenly no, he's not guilty. And the jury did the same thing.
Yeah. It sounds like it. That's insane.
So Kevin is, I think, 1984. I couldn't really find much information on Kevin.
I found a Kevin Weeks, but he's a racketeering mobster. So I don't know that he's the right guy.
He may not even be alive.
He can't be because, it could be. He was born in 1954. 64, 74, 84. So that would have been he would have been.
This guy was 21 and living in West Terre Haute at the time of the murder.
His name got bumped because of the racketeering mobster Kevin Weeks.
They don't have mobsters in West
I'm sure they do.
Terre Haute?
I'm sure they do.
All 2,000 people. They
Corn-fed.
Have a big mob.
Farmer mobsters.
Do you know if David Scott had gotten anything for any money?
Oh yeah, good question.
All I could find, there's very little.
Because we have found, and I want to tell anyone who's listening, is some stories you can find true details for, and you can find everything because at the time it was sensationalized. People grabbed onto it. They wanted the details. Pretty much anything crazy that happens from, I'd say 2010 on, there's epic details on. Yeah. But then there's other stories where we're like, this is the most ludicrous story I've ever heard, and I can't believe it wasn't the most delicious piece of media in that time frame, and there's fucking nothing on it. You can't find anything about it, and so I bet this was one of those.
I couldn't hardly find anything. All I could really find was that there was, at one point he was living in a farmhouse. He had moved to a farmhouse, I think, and he did end up having a child. He had a couple girlfriends, but ultimately he ended up alone at the farm, and his sister Carol took him in with her. And he was basically living in a 6x9 room in her trailer. Oh, and so it even said in an article, and this is from the, I think Indianapolis Weekly or something like that from back in 2008. Someone did a story about him, and it basically said that it wouldn't even matter. Let's say that this is what it says, and this is from November 2009. It says, though David was exonerated, even if he received millions of dollars in a settlement, what would that fix? The money can't replace the years of life lost. It can't erase David's memories of prison or make up for the countless hours his sisters and his mom spent without him or poring over documents. And it's difficult to imagine a court order that would clear up the confusion in the eyes of David's young nephews and nieces who only knew him like that. The children who love their uncle but have been taught that only bad people go to jail. Just stuff like that.
I never thought about that.
And so we talked about how you're guilty until proven innocent. And so even though he was able to get out of jail, he was not, and I forgot to say, I don't think he was fully exonerated from the crime.
Oh my gosh.
But he was allowed to leave because they were going to have to do that in just a separate hearing.
Yeah,
but these are poor people who have no money
right?
to get another attorney to go into court. And so that was another reason that Kevin Weeks did not get arrested, or he wasn't convicted of the crime of murder, because there was already someone charged with that. You can't have two people charged with that.
So I found a quote that he had said, David Scott, after he was obviously released. He said, "I don't feel free because of people being the way they are. They look at murder and they are judgmental. I have people that I ran around with, and then they found out and they say, we won't see you anymore." So even in his quote, you can tell there's like some special. Yeah. He was a special ed student at the time too. And so like even in just the reading of it, it's like he never got education then afterwards. So let's stop and actually think about what happened to David Scott in that time frame. He's 16. At 17, he goes into an adult prison when he was a special ed student in West Terre, Haute, Indiana, in a small town. And then
mental health isn't high on the list at prisons.
Not only mental health, but his education.
Especially so then.
His brain, he is now.
He's wired different.
How old is he? He's in his 30s, 40s, and he sounds like he is a 16-year-old talking. And it's like he never even got his mind
and then he
developed. His mind was already hindered, if you will. And I mean that with love and respect for anyone who has any mental issues. But I don't want to say mental issues. I don't know how to say that whenever he actually had some form of disability to him.
Yeah, it was disability.
Yeah, he never grew past that.
But there was
age.
Depression and anxiety. Yeah. There was having to take medication like Xanax for just what he'd been through. Yeah. On top of the fact that he didn't fully understand a lot of what had happened. He did, but he didn't. Yeah. So what is also interesting is that as they were trying to get the family was trying to go through the documents and tried time after time after time to try to get a judge to do DNA once it became a thing, and kept getting denied. Finally, a judge said, okay. But the Keith family, who is the family of my best friend in high school, and she still is, but they worked together because once they realized that DNA was not, the DNA from the crime scene and his DNA were not matching, they wanted to find out who the murderer was.
Right. Yeah,
so they were working together to try to get Kevin Weeks to be able to be charged with the crime, to be able to be then taken before a jury and convicted because they thought they found their person. But because of all these little things that did not allow it, here the Keith family had to deal with, not only did they charge the wrong person, which fills you with guilt, but then the person that is actually gone to prison isn't in there at all for the murder of your loved one.
Yeah, that's so sad too, and it's good of the family that because we've done a couple stories where the family of the one who lost the loved one still thinks the person did it. Like the person that was...
Even with the proof.
Yeah, even if they have all the evidence. So it's good that they partnered and work together.
Yeah, they were.
But I think that's what we were saying too about how David Scott, no matter what, will never not be a murderer because people cannot figure, like they cannot take.
Well, he's the only one that was convicted,
right? Yeah, they just can't pull the fact of what is actually what actually happened, and they want to keep on. And that's a problem of our society in general too.
Like you just said, there's not enough information to go back and be able to see. So this could totally make a great Netflix documentary because you have all this time that passed, and then on a technicality, someone gets off, and then it just, and then both families still lost a loved one in a way, both of them in different ways, and then never got resolution for that. It had to be something that they felt in their heart. They had to, like Carol taking her brother in, giving him a room. He couldn't live on his own. He lived in the farm, but he was completely isolated. He was, just an awful mess after being released from prison. Well, yes.
As they all are, it seems like.
And then she took care of him. She's like, that's how she could give to him. And then, with my friend Tammy, her family, they'll never have what they need to move forward, except you find it in your own heart. Sometimes you can't, the legal system is not going to work the way it should. Nothing ever does sometimes. When you think it should, and we've got everything we need, and then it lets you down. So the only way you can move forward is in your own heart.
Why is everything that she says so inspiring? I was like, yes, Leslie.
So much insight,
right?
Yeah.
Well, you can't keep hatred in your heart. You just can't do it. You have to forgive, and you have to move on. And I know the Keith family. I can only speak for them because I don't know the other family, but they had to move on. They did everything that they could do for the memory of their loved one, and it didn't work out necessarily on paper. But they know.
Yeah.
And you have to let go so that you can live your own life. So many times I've talked to people in counseling them, not necessarily counseling, but my friends will want to talk to me, or people will want to talk to me just because they want to let things out. And I tend to absorb those things for them. It's just weird. Another weird thing about me.
I feel like that's kind of a thing Heather does too. Everyone wants to word vomit all over her, especially if they've had a few drinks. Luckily, I give a shutdown thing and people don't do that to me. So you guys enjoy, but apparently something with my face, I'm like, don't do it.
He'll just be like, okay, we're leaving, because he knows it's going to happen, and then I take it home. I absorb, and then I can't shake it. So for me, I have had to be able to, with my own, not being able to forgive and move on does not hurt anybody but yourself.
Right. Well, you're probably an empath.
I am.
Yeah. I was like,
that's the weird
sounds
thing.
100%.
Always.
You are an empath.
Yeah.
My mom is the same way. And I believe she's an empath. She just takes on, when people tell her shit, she feels it to her core. You probably do that too.
Yeah, a little bit.
No.
A lot.
I just hope people don't tell me shit, because I don't want to feel, I already have so many feelings of my own accord. I cannot continue to have other people's.
For me as a child, my earliest memories of being an empath were, which I didn't have a name for it, were at 6 years old, when you could first have memories where you remember today. But we'd be walking in the mall, and I would feel something from someone that wasn't even talking to me, but I could feel, and I needed to go home because then I was sick. Sometimes I'd go in the bathroom and throw up for no reason, because I would take in everything that they had, and I didn't ask for it. I'm just walking. Or we would be at my grandparents' house. They're playing cards, and it would be a smell, or it would be something I would hear, and it wouldn't be anything they're doing, but it was like something on TV. I absorb the news. I absorb negativity that then wreaks havoc on myself.
Oh, I bet it does.
So it's been a long journey. That's where these people have come into my life to say, they tell me, and then I feel like sometimes I'm supposed to help them. That's why I was given this, which I thought used to be a curse, because then it made me have anxiety so bad. Mm-hmm. But now I see it as a gift. So
I love that.
Wow.
What an episode.
I know. I was like, do we have to stop? I guess we do.
I was like, eventually. I don't know how long we've been on. I was like, yes, we have to stop.
You guys, we don't want to, but I guess we have to.
It's been beautiful.
I appreciate you having me on.
We are so happy to have had you. This has been wonderful. I'm like, can you come back?
Yeah. We
Pretty
have a third
please.
Sassholes.
I'm sure I know more crime. Actually, I did. I had another one that I was trying to investigate to see if I could, again, but it happened back in maybe 92, 93, so there's not a lot about it. And
yeah.
I can't really, I need to investigate to find out the exact names, because it affected me. Also, it was someone that I knew, but not as personal as this. So I forgot some of the names.
Yeah.
And once I do, I believe it's still kind of a missing persons case.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I've been I had a friend who was murdered in high school. And I have been just wanting to do the story, but I'm so afraid to do the story because I'm from Evansville. And it puts so much pressure on that is a close friend of yours still, and so she's going to love the honor that you did to the story. But, I struggle on mine just because, it was all of us in high school. I'm 35, everyone back in Evansville, Indiana, where I've been on the edge of doing that story for a while.
Well, what keeps you from doing it?
I don't know. I guess that it's still too soon.
Are you afraid of what you might say, or the anger that you still have inside?
I think I'm also I'm vulgar, and I'm I worry about how vulgar I am in telling of a story whenever it was a friend of mine. I don't know.
We do it with respect, and we make jokes about, we try to honor the victims, and we make jokes about the shitty people who do this stuff. So I don't feel like, I think it would be accepted. Okay. I think
you will when you're ready.
Yeah.
And I know you professionally, and personally. And I think that when you need to do something that is tough, you can always do it.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Thanks.
Right?
If Leslie thinks I can do it, I'm going to do it.
Like, just have Leslie. Like, Leslie, I need an emotional hug.
Toss me some nice words.
Anytime. Both of you, though, if you are fans of theirs and you don't know them personally, they are both just exactly what they are in real life, that they are right here. And that's the best thing, is because I know that I've known Heather a little bit longer, but Heather is I didn't realize you were an empath, although I know we connected immediately, which explains a lot.
Yeah.
But I feel like you are, the reason people resonate towards you is because you are such a beautiful light. Your smile.
I'm really gonna cry.
Please do not.
You give good hugs. Like, you care. You genuinely care about people. Yeah. And so whether it's your clients or your coworkers or your friends or your family, they know that about you. They feel that. That's why they're drawn to you to tell you when they are not feeling good, because they know that just being in your aura is going to make them feel better.
I've told you that.
And then you.
Oh, God.
Sexy. You came in a little bit later. Really, I didn't know you that long at work before I left. Yeah. But I told you early on, it did not take me long to know exactly what kind of a person that you were. And you're like a stick of dynamite. And that is also in the best way. So I told you that everyone at your company who is in higher management should be looking at you and knowing that you are the kind of personality and the intelligence level and the people person that will take their job.
She's right.
You are
nailed it.
You are outstanding. Thanks, you have a light around you too, and that light is like a shining spotlight that just says, you want to be near me because I am so incredible. That's what you are. I'm not kidding. So your boyfriend better get busy, because I already have her pegged for my husband's next wife. So unless he gets busy, I am going to be 57, so that could be.
Well, to cut that audio and put it on the 9th episode, because he won't hear it.
Yeah, just tell him he's got to listen, but he doesn't have to listen until the end.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, Leslie,
but you both are awesome, and I do thank you. It was a privilege for me.
Oh my God, we're so happy. We love you. You are obviously so amazing, and I did come on really late to the game with Leslie, with like coming in here to our previous jobs, or I don't know how to say that, because we kind of left the radio part out of our podcast, I guess. Like, we haven't really talked about our jobs.
Yeah, not too much.
But
we just all worked for the same company.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. And Leslie, first of all, I am going to be floating for the rest of the year.
Oh, me too. I'm going to cut this out, and then it'll be my ringtone. Just Leslie giving me a compliment every time that somebody calls.
They have those buttons that you hit on your desk. I'm going to push that and be like, I have a light. Leslie said so. Damn it.
Right.
But do you have anything? First of all, if I start talking about you, I'm going to cry. But I agree with you. Like, the second I met you, I was like, I love her, and I have no idea why. No idea. Like, I didn't even you speak. So, but do you have anything that you want to shout out? Because we'll say all of our shit. Like, follow us on socials and go tell your mom and your sister to listen and all that good stuff.
Well, yeah, definitely follow me on Instagram, because that's where, if you were a fan of me on the radio, or even if you weren't, but I just am very real and whatever. And
will you talk about my favorite Instagram show that I text you about like twice a week?
Well, my Instagram is the Leslie Morgan, so it's really easy to find. But then my husband, who he has a huge fan base as well, but his
yes, he does.
He is you just look up Q Does Stuff, and we post all kinds of stuff with him, just randomly doing things like modeling a T-shirt for me, or
even when he doesn't know he's modeling.
He doesn't know.
Leslie's just behind him like he has an OnlyFans that he doesn't know about.
I know.
And it's just like him walking
making breakfast, making a sandwich, him picking up rocks, him mowing grass.
It sounds so funny, but y'all, seriously.
Follow that too, because it's funny, especially if you like hot guys. And then, but our business, which if you love to camp, we decided when we became empty nesters, which was just not that long ago, recently, that we were going to turn our passion into a business. So we have Happy Camper Living. Go to happycamperliving.com, and it's a great resource for all things camping. So there's different articles with checklists about what you need, or there's recipes. We also tell you our favorite camping products, and we have, of course, branded apparel. So whether it's a sweatshirt, t-shirt, tank top, if it's an oven mitt, if it's a keychain, if it's a decal for your camper, you could represent Happy Camper Living and join the community, even on Facebook, Happy Camper Living group, Facebook group.
I know I'm an indoor cat, but I am in the group, and she does post riveting content, and the logo's real cute. So.
I really like the logo.
See?
I'm about to dig all up into that.
I know, and I
get that credit card
out. I wanted to get a sweatshirt, but then I'm like, I feel like a poser, because I don't camp. It's like, can I still wear? I'm going to support you.
You know what?
So
you're a part of the Happy Camper Living community.
Yes,
because you have supported your friend.
I do,
and because you are toying with the idea of becoming a camper. It just has to be. There's different levels of camping. Like her going camping this weekend, I don't like that either necessarily at my age. No, I'm not doing that.
I don't like it at my
primitive,
age either.
No. Now, so you wouldn't like it either.
No.
But you're not sure about tent camping. It would have to be everything set up just right. It wasn't set up right the first time. But when she gets a camper, that's different.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love. I'm going to turn you onto it so hard. Buy it now so that you can wear it the first time that we camp in the camper.
And then you need to take pictures because you need to be models for me too.
Oh,
okay.
My God. Don't threaten me with a good time.
Now I'm a big old ball of light animal model.
I'll come down to wherever your camper is and bring my hot husband and drinks, and then take pictures of you guys in your shirts.
No. Okay.
Yes.
Sold.
And we're booking it, Yeah,
we're doing it. Well, thanks again, Leslie.
we love you so
Love you
much.
both.
Thank you for being so
And you're doing a
amazing.
great job.
Thank you.
Let's talk
I
more
love
about
this.
it. I don't know what to do.
I would talk about you forever.
Okay. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Theodore, can I pet that dog?